Okay, welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the Resume Elevation Workshop, selling your value to hiring managers. My name is Adam Cipoletti. I am a Fortune 500 creative director at Salesforce, and this is my career coaching side business. So I'm really excited to have you guys here. This is going to be a large group, so as much as I'd love to be able to ask or check for questions and stuff, there's just not a lot of time, so we'll try to leave a minute or two at the end for some quick questions. Otherwise, please reach out to me at my email, follow me on social, join the Standout squad, which you guys saw in the pre-show, or also have some next steps for you at the end. Just first off, thank you for joining. I know it's the middle of the day for a lot of people. It might be early if you're on the West Coast. I appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate you being vulnerable. I know a lot of you shared your resumes with me. I might not be able to specifically respond to everyone who sent their resume, but I'm going to try to reference some of the opportunities that I saw here in this workshop. So if you were someone who sent your resume and were vulnerable enough to do that, I really appreciate that. Um, sorry, error just came up. Just can you guys give me a thumbs up or let me know if you can hear me okay? Just want to make sure my audio is good. Yes, no, put it in the chat. Okay, awesome. Thanks, Kyle. I appreciate it. Let me see if I can keep that chat open. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead. Okay, great. Like I said, my name's Adam. I've worked with all these amazing companies, but the reality is that I was stuck in my career. I was in retail for 14 years, probably 8 years longer than I should have been. When I went to apply for corporate roles, I just kept falling flat, kept getting rejected. I would spend days in interview panels, and the feedback would be, we just went with someone else. And it wasn't until I left that job that 16 months later, after learning how to market myself and tell my story better, I landed a role as a marketing director at Salesforce. So I just want to set that transformation in your mind that I increased my income basically 200% by leaving a job that did not see my value, learning how to tell my story correctly, and then going back into the job search with clarity. And I'm here trying to help others do that. So that's what my coaching business is for. Um, and the reason I decided to start coaching was because, first off, if I could do it, I think others could. And then as I started hiring at Salesforce, I started seeing resumes and interview answers that just weren't strong. And I felt bad because there were a lot of talented people out there. And I knew there was an opportunity to help them reach their dream jobs quicker. So that's what my business is about. That's why I started the Standout Squad. And again, I'll have next steps for you guys to join if you want to do that at the end of this. Just really quickly, some testimonials of some professionals that I've helped kind of understand their value better. This is just Tosin. She was a mid-career professional who was an individual contributor, and she has two master degrees, and she just felt like she was meant for more. And I helped her reevaluate her career opportunities and her career search and gave her feedback on her resume. And now she's interviewing for director roles. With Dr. Heather, she had a business for about 20 years and wanted to jump back into academia, and I helped her reevaluate her CV. And she didn't feel confident about bringing her value to her resume or to interviews, so I helped her kind of understand why her side project, for example, of turning her outdoor, or sorry, her in-ground pool into a sustainable greenhouse was a really impactful story to tell in interviews and make her memorable. And then Sanjita, amazing early career professional who was stuck in senior designer roles. We reframed her resume found her value, and now she's art director actually at Salesforce. So a lot of cool transformation, and I hope I can help you guys with that as well. And again, this is all about being able to communicate your value. So let's jump into what a resume is and why it's important. So the traditional definition of a resume is a brief account of a person's education, qualifications, and previous experience, typically sent with a job application. So this is completely outdated. The fact that it leads with education is insane to me. The education is like, not to say that it's not important, but it just does not lead. Your resume does not lead with your education. Um, so I redefined it for the modern job market. Your resume is a concise and compelling sales document sales and marketing tool targeted at recruiters and hiring managers, presenting a brief account of a person's professional experience by highlighting their qualifications through demonstrated growth, skilled behavior, and celebrated results. And this is really important because I want you guys to understand why marketing principles are going to be key to landing interviews with this resume. So when we think about marketing, I don't know if I have any marketing professionals on the call, but you need to have a target audience. So you need to think about the recruiter and the hiring manager. You have to craft a value proposition. So this is where your professional summary, and I'm going to hint at the social proof down at the bottom, a testimonial will really help. You need to have a compelling set of content, so both skills and results. And we want to structure it in the right way. So, like I said, education should be at the bottom, but we'll talk about a strong order. And if you guys got my email before this workshop, there's a ATS friendly resume template on my website under resources, and that has the proper structure that I recommend that you use. So, why is this important? It's your opportunity, your first impression, it's your opportunity to share your story. It's the opportunity to differentiate yourself. It's the new cover letter. So, how do we elevate our resumes? So, I want you guys to brag, but we're going to do this professionally. We want to make sure that our resume is not just listing responsibilities. We need to show impact. So, how we impacted the work that we did, how we impacted the team, and how we impacted the business. And we'll talk about that as a storytelling. Um, Before I jump into the next section, I do want to mention when we think about hiring managers and recruiters, because I don't have a slide for this, we want our resumes to be easy to read. We want them to be quick to read. And one thing I recommend is if you're a creative or design professional, don't waste designing your resume because you don't want it to be distracting. You want this to be very clear with clear headings. So just make it easy for the hiring manager. As a hiring manager, I probably have to go through 100 resumes a day. I need to be able to quickly see how this candidate can impact my team. So we're all here because we feel stuck. We're
Fancy.
having a opportunity with landing interviews.
All right.
Um, so I call this the age of operating margin that we're in. It's a very challenging job market, and it is the post-pandemic job market. So what is happening? So I want you guys to understand, have a bigger picture.
All right, thank
In
you.
the in the pandemic,
All right,
in the pandemic, um, during the pandemic, companies were focused on growth, solely on growth. They saw an opportunity to hire amazing talent, and there was this big boom in the job market. In 2022, that's when it started to shift, and analysts and investors were telling companies, no, 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 we don't care about growth. We care about operating margin. And this has to do with the operating efficiencies of a company. So they want businesses to do more with less. So that's why you're seeing stuff like this. This month alone, we've seen a huge amount of layoffs. We saw Walmart. um, lay off 1,500, Chiquita Banana 5,000. Microsoft was only 2 weeks ago. That was about 7,000. Nissan's going through a huge restructuring with Honda, and they dropped 11,000 employees. And so, what does this mean as they join all these other companies that have gone through? I mean, this is just even not even a handful. I mean, this slide could have 1,000 companies on there. Um, is that the job market is now really, really saturated. You guys feel it. Obviously, you're here because you feel stuck. And I don't want to um, be a Debbie Downer with this slide, but what I want to show is that we need to find a new way to talk about ourselves in this job market. The old way of putting results on your resume is not going to be enough. So what does it mean to you as a job seeker? You need to make sure that you have stories on your resume that showcase your proficiency with operations. Because what companies are looking for when they do these layoffs are what redundancies. So if it doesn't save money, if it doesn't save time, then someone else could probably do it and it's a redundancy. So you want to think about opportunities that you've or wins that you've had in your job experience that showcase your ability to create or work with systems, processes, or strategies to save time, save money, or make money. So this is really important. I would say have at least one job bullet per role that showcases how you've used systems, strategies, or processes to save time, save money, or make money, because that's going to show your operations focus. This is different, because you didn't have to think about operations as an individual contributor for a long time. It's only really when you got into management and even director level roles that operations was a huge focus. It's very, very different in this job market. So you just want to reflect on those job experiences, see if there's anything that you've done to save time, like create an onboarding document that saved time onboarding a new employee, or you've improved training so that you were able to get the team more efficient and make more money. So any kind of opportunities like that you want to kind of showcase, you want to showcase on your resume. So let's talk about the structure of the resume. You guys want to start your resume with a strong professional summary. This is an absolute piece of it. And I still see resumes that are starting with education or resumes that are starting with objectives. That is not going to work in this job market. You need a value statement that basically summarizes what the rest of your resume says. So it should include things like how long you've been in the industry, or you've been working at a job or working at your job. So for me, I would say I'm a 15 plus or 20-year creative director. It needs to showcase how you work with stakeholders. So if you've worked with directors, SVPs, VPs, C-suite, that's where clients are big clients. If you have big client names, um, or big accounts, this is your opportunity to highlight some of those big items. So some prompts that you should think about are, how do you describe yourself? I say as a creative, but as an individual professional in focused on your role. Like what makes you special in that specific role. Then I would want you to describe yourself how you work as a team, because what you don't want to do is make it seem like you work in a vacuum. Now more than ever, collaboration and soft skills are important. So you could say something like, um, skilled at working sorry, adept at using A, B, and C on a team on teams of up to 10 or 20 or whatever. It doesn't really matter the size. You just don't want to seem like you work in a vacuum. And then if you could say that your experience working with those stakeholders, that's what I would say as an industry professional. If you could say experience working with stakeholders at the director level or the vice president or senior vice president or C-suite level, um, collaborating on these types of projects with, and then maybe you could share a key win, like you working on accounts as big as $100,000, $1 million. And again, I'm making up numbers. The number doesn't really matter. I don't want to scare you guys and say that you need to have those types of numbers. It's just making it more tangible and giving them an idea of, oh, you really have this experience because you're providing me with specific numbers or data. It makes your story more realistic. And I know I'm going through this fast. We only have a half an hour. I will share a guide at the end so that if you guys need these prompts, or if you're not taking screenshots, if you don't watch the replay, there is more resources for you. So here's an example. This is for like an early career graphic designer. You could say something like innovative graphic designer with 5 years experience working with top brands. Doesn't even matter again. It doesn't have to be top brands. You just want to name some clients that make it tangible. You want to mention maybe some skills for this example. So you're highly knowledgeable in A, B, and C. And then you could see, oops, sorry, did not mean to click. Experienced in collaborating with SVP stakeholders to produce award-winning designs. So this is a nice summary, and then obviously your job bullets will back this up. But this is something that, as a hiring manager, I get a snapshot picture about what I'm about to spend time reading, and that's important. Again, if I have to read 100 resumes to find one candidate a day, like filtering each day, it's helpful to have a really strong summary at the top to understand what I'm about to read. So let's talk about testimonials. So some of you may think of testimonials on your resume as putting them at the bottom for references, but from a marketing perspective, when we think about customer success, when you think about any product that you're passionate about, or when maybe you want to go, I don't know, I had to go to Home Depot and buy um, electric pruning shears. Uh, I read the reviews. Reviews are very, very powerful, and that's what testimonials are to your resume. So if think about how the resume is laid out. Right now, you started at the top. You obviously have your contact information. You should have a headline saying, you know, maybe like graphic designer for this example, a graphic designer slash brand ambassador or something, some little headline. And then you have your professional summary. And now we're going to follow that up with a testimonial because your professional summary is you talking about yourself. And now we want to give social proof to that professional summary. So you'll have a testimonial underneath your professional summary, and that testimonial should be from a former leader, a current leader, a former colleague, a client, and that should back up your professional summary. So now they have another opinion about you before they start to read about your job experience. And the reason I recommend a testimonial is because it is absolutely a way to stand out. I would say if I was looking at 100 resumes, I would probably see a testimonial on 1 out of 100. Nobody does it, and it's an amazing way to stand out. And again, just think about how often you look at reviews to find anything from restaurants to um, products. Reviews are very powerful, and that your testimonial is just a review of you. And it's a great thing to include on your resume. So here are some questions you can ask a former leader or current leader, whoever you want to get this testimonial from. If they can describe a specific instance where you made a contribution to the team, if there are specific skills that they love when they worked with you, how did you make a difference in the team, the department, or company? So I would send these questions to anyone you'd want to write a testimonial. And you have a few options. And in the guide, I share some AI prompts. So you could send this to that person and have them just answer the questions and send the questions back. And you can put them into ChatGPT or Gemini with a prompt like, using these answers, create a 3 to 5 sentence testimonial for my resume. And it and I would ask for three options. I would always ask for more options when you're using ChatGPT, and we'll talk about that a little bit, or when you're using AI. And then I would send those options back to the the reference that you're trying to quote, and have them uh, tell you which one they like, and you guys can work together to kind of take the three options and put them together into a solid testimonial. I just don't want you waiting on them to have to write a compelling testimonial. Some people just aren't good at doing that, so that's why I like to use AI. Again, they could definitely do that, but this might could be a good opportunity for just send them these questions, have them answer, use AI to write the testimonial, send it back, get their approval, and then you could pop that on your resume. All right, let's jump into job bullets. I'm going to skip skills for now. The only thing I'm going to say about that expertise section, which should fall under your testimonial, is that try to keep that section to 12 skills or less. And the reason I'm going to be really quick because there's a psychological piece to this. If you start putting 20, 30, 40 skills, keywords on your resume to try to um, match the job description just by listing them all in one section. You're going to oversell yourself. You're going to look either overqualified, or they're going to consider you to not be trustworthy because putting um, you're putting more in there that you could possibly be an absolute professional at. And here's the quick psychological piece to that. If I were to, and I'm going to use an Apple example because that's where I used to work. If I was trying to, you came in for a computer, and you're picked a computer, let's say the MacBook Air, and now I want to offer you Apple Care. That's really important to me. I love Apple Care. I think it's really important for all my customers to have. If I sell you on using, if I ask you a question and I find out that you love the phone support and the chat support that Apple offers, I would say, great. Apple Care offers that for 24/7. It's a great solution for you. It's only $99 for this MacBook. I don't think know if that I don't think that's the right price, but let's say that it's $99, and you're sold. You're like, yes, I love this because it matches the solution that I need. I have Apple Care because I love chat support. If I were to then tell you, oh, and it also comes with accidental coverage, what happens when I do that? I take a big risk because I didn't ask you if you had any experience with dropping your products or spilling water on your products. I could, one, be insulting you because why would I need that? I don't spill stuff. I don't break my computer. Um, and I run the risk of then, if you be not needing that specific feature, if you don't find value in that feature, the value of the Apple Care now kind of splits in half because you now want the phone support, but you don't need the other parts. So is it worth it? Maybe it's not worth it to spend it on when I do that. It's the same with your skills. If you put too many skills on your resume, the value you're offering actually diminishes because if there's skills on there that are not truly important to the job, you're not, the hiring manager is going to think that you're, again, overqualified or just not right for the role. So I would curate your skills, and this is a great section to curate them specifically for a job description, but keep it to 12. I would not do more than that. Okay. I don't want to spend too much time on that. I'm going to jump into job bullets. So I'm still seeing generic responsibilities, and I'm not going to call out by name, but I believe one of the participants sent this resume. So um, they were a home child care provider, and under their job description, they have prepared meals and snacks with focus on nutrient dense ingredients. That is, I would think of a way of turning that into a more meaningful statement. So, are there results or impact that you could tell me about that? Even if it's as crazy as saying this, these were prepared in a timely manner uh, on each day, so the kids had energy and they were energetic. And what is the result of you doing that? That's what we're trying to say. So we want to make sure that we are showcasing results, and if we can use quantitative data, that's great. So, how many kids did you prepare meals and snacks for? How often did you prepare? Like, to make that bullet again, it said prepared meals and snacks with a focus on nutrient dense ingredients. Prepared 30 meals and 20 snacks with a focus on nutrient ingredients to make sure the kids had energy and learned about a nutrient-rich diet, some sort of result impacting those children. And it's even better if it was with if it had more context. So if you could share how maybe you were the only one who prepared the meals and snacks, but like if we could say like worked with the other daycare provider as the kid napped to prepare meals and snacks with a focus on, and again, we would do the number of snacks, but we want a little more context, and I'll give you guys more examples. So this is the type of stuff I currently see on resumes. So you directed a high-profile creative project, including keynotes and executive presentations for global events or collaborated. I'm not seeing any data here. So you want to try, I don't, and not every bullet needs it, but I want to see if I was a hiring manager, I want to see quantitative data, and I want to see results of these bullets. So I'm not seeing that. And then I'm just not seeing enough context. I'm not understanding like team sizes, stakeholders, project timelines, like that information, that context is very important. And when earlier I said it's the new cover letter, this used to be stuff if you were in the job market 10, 15 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, this is stuff you would put on your cover letter. These are the types of stories you would try to tell, but you do not have that opportunity anymore. You're not going to create a cover letter for every job. They just don't require it. So you need to do that storytelling here and now on the resume. And you don't want to wait to the interview to tell these stories. So your job bullets should look more like this. Successfully delegated and designed the main keynote presentation of Dreamforce 2022. So that was the task. This required an ultra-wide presentation that involved brand to introduce innovative AI solutions. This is the action that you took, or kind of the situation. And then you worked across global teams and agencies. And I actually could make this better. I could put more quantitative data. I could say worked across 10 global teams and 2 agencies to bring cohesive feel to the entire deck. And then the result is over 2.7 million times it was viewed on YouTube. And again, you guys don't need to have these results. I'm not saying that you need to have something in the millions, but any result, if something improved by 2%, that's still an improvement. And we want to share those wins. We need to brag about those. So how can you start writing bullets like this? We don't have a lot of time. I know I'm going to run over, but I'm going to try to run through this. You guys want to use the STAR method. This is something that you would normally start preparing with for interviews if you guys have heard of this before. STAR method stands for situation, task, action, result. So when you're answering an interview question, you share the situation, you share the task, you share the action that you took and the result that you made, and then you end. It's a very concise kind of storytelling. Well, this should be how you start framing out your resume bullets. And the benefit of this is that now you're practicing for your interview by telling your story early on your resume. And then you set yourself up for success even more, because if the hiring manager looks at your resume, they might ask you about that story that you already practiced. So they say, oh, I see on your resume you had this result. Can you tell me a little more about that? And then you just expand on your bullet and you tell the full story. Um, Really quickly, positive and negatives of using generative AI, because I know I recommend it. Um, I love using it. I would just say ask it to give you options. Always give you options when preparing a resume, and then pick and choose and rewrite it in your voice. You just don't want to trust it. It does make mistakes. It makes up data, it makes up sources. So just review everything that it outputs and ask it for options and build off those options. I really don't have any time for Q&A. I maybe could take one or two if someone wants to put in the chat. I could try to answer some questions, and then I have some next steps for you. Hopefully this was helpful. I know it's a lot to take in 30 minutes. I just know 30 minutes is a good time for a lot of people, especially midday. I see a ton of questions. What I'm gonna say, guys, if you have asked me something earlier on, please email me. You can reach me at Adam at AM Creative Coach, and I will definitely get back to you. Um, I will try to answer um, this question. What if we haven't worked with top brands or clients or clients that aren't well known? I would still I would either mention the client or I would mention something about them. Like, I've worked with clients in this industry, I've worked with clients of this size, I've worked with clients with this budget. And again, even if it's not a large budget, they just want to know you really have experience working with people. And it's just making it more tangible. So again, don't worry about the numbers specifically. You're just making your story more tangible. I do have some next steps for you guys. I'm gonna put it here in the chat. Let me just grab the link, and I will bring it up on screen too. I appreciate again everyone being here. I know this is a lot to take in. I know the job market is insane right now. It it is really hard to stand out, and that is my goal, is to help you guys stand out. Um, oh, great. Yes, yes, Moses, great. Good idea. Yeah, everybody connect, support each other. That's why I'm trying to um, load that page that I just shared. Um, but if you guys go to that page, I don't know why it's not loading for me. Hopefully you guys are having more success. Um, you could also just go to my website and click on the Standout Squad, because you can either go to the resources page and download the workbook. I have it there on sale for $50. If you go to the Standout Squad um, link in my navigation bar, you could also get it for free by signing up for the free tier. So this is a community where we can support each other, just like Moses recommended. Um, I have a Facebook group set up for that community. I'm going to continue to do some of these free 30 minutes, but I'm also going to offer the community 1 hour masterminds where we can really dive deep. We can have working sessions. Again, there'll also be free guides. I have free mindset courses. So thank you, everyone. I'm sorry I can't load the page. My internet's just super slow right now. And hopefully you guys can hear me. Um, but definitely check out my website or in that link and sign up to join the community and get the free workbook. I'm going to hang out for another 5 minutes. If anyone has any other questions, I am here.
Oh, is there any way we could get a copy of this PowerPoint for us that couldn't really take notes fast enough?
I would sign up for the squad, because that's where that workbook is about 30 pages and it contains all of this plus more. So if you join The community, there's a coupon code on the Facebook group that you can just download it.
So where's the link? Did you put the link in the chat?
Yeah, it's in the chat. I'll send it to you again.
Mm, yeah.
You can go, let's
I
see.
don't see it in the chat.
Oh, I see what I did. I accidentally clicked. There you go. Sorry, guys. My Zoom.
Do you also provide career coaching?
I do. I do have a private coaching. I'm going to start moving away from that for the community, but currently, if I do have openings, it's 300 an hour for career coaching. I just know that's not as accessible for everybody. So I think the community and building community where we can support each other and I can bring in other coaches and professionals to offer things like stress management, um, culture burnout, leadership training. That's the goal. So I think it's a little more stronger and we can really elevate each other. Does anyone else have any other questions? I really appreciate the time. I know we went through this quick. All right, I'll be here for another 3 minutes. This has been awesome. I'm glad everybody could join.
I have a quick question. Where would you put the testimonials?
I would do one testimonial and I would put it right below your professional summary.
Okay,
Yeah, I can show you an example. So, that's a good question. Let me just open up my resume. All right. So I call it a career summary on my resume. You could call it a professional summary. It's the same. Um, so I have my professional summary, and then right under that, I just put 2 lines, and I put a testimonial between that and your skills.
okay, perfect.
The goal is like the professional summary is you talking about you. And it's not that I don't believe you as a hiring manager, but sometimes we'll all say things like, I don't know, I read a resume yesterday or the other day that said something like, I don't know, groundbreaking something like leader. And it's like, sure. I mean, it's you saying that about yourself, which is kind of like you better be able to back that up in the rest of the resume. And that's why I think a testimonial is helpful. Because like you could say something a little over the top, but then if you have a testimonial that backs that up in some way, it just makes it more tangible and more believable.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
I know.
Also, I would, if you guys on that page, if you want to follow me on social, especially on Eventbrite, because I'll continue to do these 30-minute sessions. I have an interview one, I think tomorrow, later in the evening. I don't know if it's full, I've not checked. Um, but I do have a trip next week, so I won't be able to do anything next week. But when I come back, I'll continue these events. So I'm gonna try to do one on resumes, one on interviews, probably growth mindset, the same one that I have the free course on my website. I'll probably do a live version of that. Um, so definitely subscribe, follow me on Eventbrite if you guys signed up there.
I had a question.
Yeah.
Uh, how how much time should we put in, every application? there's an option for a CV or cover letter.
Yeah.
Like I mean the cover letter. Should we
Yeah.
be putting in cover letters and
Uh,
all these? Been hearing stuff that people aren't even looking. These recruiters aren't even looking at the cover
It's
letters.
it's so rare that I get to look at it, honestly, because I think the story that needs to be told is on the resume. That's why I focus on it. If it's a job you're like ridiculously passionate, say it's something you're ridiculously passionate about, and you can align your values to the job in a really powerful way, then yes, maybe a cover letter would be helpful. Um, but if you don't feel that passionate about it and I don't think it's gonna be meaningful. I would focus. I always think the resume is highest priority when applying. Um, and I wouldn't think about a full resume rewrite for every job. That is crazy, and it's just gonna make you spiral and waste time. I would use keywords and behaviors, and if you guys get the guide, it walks you through taking three job descriptions, throwing it into ChatGPT, and then pulling out keywords, key skills, key behaviors that you can then, those are the small things that you should change maybe for each job where you feel like there's like a huge discrepancy. But I do not believe in making a resume for every job. I think that would be crazy. Um, yes,
One
Moses.
last one last question.
Yeah, go
So
for
you go over a bunch of resumes. You
it.
deal with a breadth of industries. What do you
Hmm.
feel are, let's say, the top four skills or value propositions that cover that every industry is interested in? Would it be
Okay.
technology? Would it be emotional intelligence, soft skills?
It would
What
it
would
would
you?
definitely be soft skills. Soft skills are universal, so I think that is important, and I think they're more important than ever. So if you think about what I had mentioned about this operating margin, age of operating margin. If you have experience when it comes to operations, a good soft skill, those soft skills are important, I think, to mention now. So time management, project management, cross-functional collaboration, anything where you think you could help build efficiencies and systems, that those might be good to highlight. Again, it has to relevant to the role. Like I don't know exactly what we're would be applying for in this, but those are always strong ones to try to communicate across the board, if that makes sense.
Oh, thank you very much. I
Yeah.
asked that because I have like my PMP and I have a bunch of quality credentials, but
Hmm.
I worked through a different. I worked in construction. I worked in automotive. I could potentially work in a laboratory, but I could potentially work in all industries. So I'm like,
Yeah.
instead of because I would have a ton of resumes to write for all these positions, but like I specifically got skill sets that would transfer well to other things. But I also don't want to look like I'm a jack of all credentials.
That I think
Like
that's the biggest challenge because I could do everything too, Moses. Like I've done graphic design, web design, uh, motion graphics, video, training. And I ended up focusing on presentation design. That's where I landed, and that's something I would do if you get the workbook or if you take my shifting mindset course. And I don't know, maybe you have done a value sort recently, but I would definitely do a value sort if you haven't done one in the last 6 to 12 months, and then use your values to really understand, make a decision about like where would I be strongest and where would I be most appreciated. And so what you do is you take your values and you can go to companies and you could say, okay, and I'm only going to say Salesforce because I know their values by heart. If they post their values or they post their mission, you can look at their values or their mission and say, okay, will this company respect my five core values in this moment in my life? And that might help you, or with this industry even. And that might help you better figure out where you do belong. That's why I love to start with values because um, not only give you clarity, but then you can use those during your interview. So when a company asks something like, um, why do you want to work here? Um, you could say, instead of the standard answer like for Apple or Salesforce or any big company, you'd be like, because it's the best place to work or it has a great rating on Glassdoor. You could say, oh, well, these are my, so I actually start with my values. These are my values. Let's say it's creativity, community, leadership, family, something, some other fifth value. And I would say, and I know that your value or your mission at this company is A, B, and C. And I think we'd have a mutual respect for one another, and I'd be able to I'd feel empowered to work here or make this role better, or I know that I can be the best version of myself in this role. That is a very different question than saying, because I'm qualified. Well, we know that because we saw your resume and that's why we're interviewing you. So I think values are a very powerful way of answering that question, but also helping you make big career decisions.
All right. Thank you. That's really insightful. So basically understanding what are five key values that you have or like goals or identities that
Yeah, it's like motivation. So when you go through the activity, it will you'll think about your life and you'll come up with like a ton of words, like maybe like 30, and then you group them together and you just then you make a decision. It's like, well, what does this group really mean to me? And then you have to make them actionable. You have to actually define the value for yourself so that you can describe it to someone else. And the other thing that I like about this exercise is that if you are a leader on a team and you have your team do this exercise, they better understand each other in a really meaningful way. So, for example, uh, I have kids, and so family is like a huge value to me right now in my life, and your values can change. But right now, family is important to me. So, if I need to go pick up my kids, my team understands why that is important to me. Like I have to get my kids. Like that is a value that is important. I need to make sure that they're taken care of. So there's more understanding when I can't be there or I can't support or I need to delegate or I need to move things around. And it's the same for if you understand like someone on your team loves to travel, they need to travel. That's like the way that they wind down and they need to be on vacation an extra day. As a leader, you could say, that's important to you. The team will understand you need that. So like values and understanding each other's values are very powerful a way of understanding people's motivations and working with people. So
well, what doesn't that take a certain amount of inspection and emotional intelligence to really understand what your values is? Because I feel like a lot of people just kind of we have this mentality of I just work, I just pick things up and put things down. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, that's
I make
fair.
money, I take
That's
care of my
fair.
family, that's it. You know?
That's fair. But then maybe those are what's maybe if that is what motivates you, then those can be your values. So I would do the exercise and see what like the exercise will suggest like 60 words and like it really is just like what do these mean to you? Like are these important? And then you can kind of form your values and your values change. Like they need to evolve with your life. Um, so don't ever feel stuck to those values, but use them as a filter to make really big decisions. If something does not feel aligned to your values, then either your values are off or you need to get out of there because you're not doing something that's going to keep you motivated, keep you happy, um, or 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 aligned to things like for me, protect my family, keep them financially secure. So again, I think there's a piece where you have to define those for yourself, and then you can use that to speak to others. I would love to stay on here all day and talk, but I know we're running over, guys.
Thank
Um, yeah, yeah, no problem. I'm gonna take this one. Jay, I know you have your
One
hand
last,
raised. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, go
yeah.
for it.
Just one last question. Just a simple one. Like, if, for example, you have been selected for an interview and you're passing all the rounds, but unfortunately, in the last round, you're just getting like a rejection. What may be an issue because you have already cracked the resumes are working well. That's why you're getting interviews. That's how I think so.
Yeah,
So, how do you look
yeah.
at this scenario?
So in my interview workshop, I go over answers for tell me about yourself. Why do you want to work here? What's your greatest weakness? And then we really, really, really study the star structure, the star method, because what's important is when someone asks you a question like, tell me about a time, they need a real powerful example, and you need to land those results. So I would see if you're mastered the tell me about a time, and it's all about being concise, and you have to be okay with silence. So when you use the star structure, you literally just say 4 to 5 sentences. You say, "This was the situation that I was in. This was the task that I was given. This was the action or 2 actions that I took, and this was the amazing result where we landed." And that's your answer. And then you stop. You do not ramble, you do not go further. And we'll dive deeper into that in my interview workshop.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. Please feel free to email me if you have more questions or jump on the Facebook group. Definitely join the squad. It's all about empowering all of us. I think we all need community right now because it's not a competition. We need to help each other stand out. So thank you very much. Appreciate everybody's time.